because I was so close to running, or so accustomed to running in the red, I never slowed down to treat people with the respect that I'd like to treat them with. I would just be, someone to say something like, that's dumb, come on, we got to do this, and I wasn't behaving in a way that I felt was representative of how much I valued people. And so I felt like if I could extract myself from the business more mentally to where I wasn't fully embedded in it, then maybe I could start to fix that. So like I said, that was December of 2019, and I had started out the new year. I went out to New Mexico with a buddy of mine, and we hiked in the mountains, and while we were there, I still remember when I was on the plane, there was a couple people with masks. It was like right in the very beginning stages of COVID. And by the time I got back from New Mexico after just having an amazing week, and I was thinking to myself, holy shit, like, if I really was serious about this getting out of the business a little bit, look at this flexibility that I could introduce and how great it felt like. I mean, I was climbing up mountains in the desert, dude, and looking out at these beautiful views. It was unbelievable. And like the stars were out and stuff, and the stars were so bright that you could literally see the mountains, and there was no lights around. It was crazy, but beautiful, beautiful experience. And then within 4 days of getting back, it was when the whole world shut down. It was the first time in my entire career, probably my entire existence, where I didn't feel like I was at threat from my competition. Because I recognized that every single one of us had to pause because nothing else was going on. And nobody was eating my lunch, to use one of your old sayings. And I also realized that I didn't have to go and compete any longer. And that ended up leading into a lot of self-realization and a lot of stuff and figuring it out. And by May of that, a couple months later, my wife, my son, and I ended up hitting the road, which was originally going to be for 2 weeks, and run the company without telling anyone because we'd be judged so harshly because we were out on the road with COVID spreading the disease. Everybody had different viewpoints, and I'm not belittling any of them, but we succumbed to the pressure, to the social pressure of what other people would think, say, or tell other people about us. But as we got out there, after about the first week, we're like, why stop? And so we spent 10 months on the road, literally waking up in campgrounds, driving to the beach, parking the RV, working while we were at the beach all day, and I was helping Oliver with his remote school and going back. But that like freedom that I started to experience, I also started to notice that I was being a little kinder and gentler to other human beings and a little more patient. And I think a lot of my self-reflection was starting to result in behavior modification, which is something I felt like was extremely necessary. But I was vehemently opposed to ever doing any work again. I think I told you that. I told everybody. I was like, I don't want to work again.
Yeah, you were calling yourself retired.
Yeah, and the reason I was because I didn't trust myself to be able to get back into a working situation and do it without turning into the monster in my own head that I had become, where I just wasn't thoughtful with people and stuff like that. And then in early 2023, I started talking with my mentor from the Jannerno Entrepreneurial Mentoring Group, and he had developed this curriculum that essentially focused on the work that leaders do. It's, you think about leadership development and stuff, and I'm sure, because you and I actually shared titles of books and tapes and stuff that we had listened to, but there are probably billions of books out there on leadership development, and almost 100% of it is focused on theory, right? So you're forced to read this thing on theory and somehow translate it into your business and operating system. And what Paul developed was he developed this curriculum that focuses on the actual work of leading, which there was really nothing out there. It's very practical. And but being a small business owner and understanding that, the company that when I met him, he took over in 2007, took over a company in the automotive space, and it was like $90-some million. And 4 years later, in 2012, I think is when he stepped down, that company had become a $400+ million organization. And so I looked at that curriculum and I'm like, that's great for big businesses. And, but it's not really relevant to small businesses. And the more that we started to talk, probably over the course of a month or so, I came to the realization as I dug into that content that it's probably exactly what small business leaders need